Welcome to episode 1 of Weekly Account Fixing. Let's get into it. Let's start with Primogems. This week, I earned 3,079 Primogems worth of pulls. Here's the breakdown of it all. 630 from Wilkin, 420 from commissions, 440 from Imaginarium Theater up to Act 6, 5 Intertwined Fates from Monthly Shop, equivalent to 800 Primogems, 789 from Exploration, as well as Masterless Star Glitter usage. Of those, I spent 1,440 on the weapon banner and pulled Azure Light at 69 pity. This leaves me with 1,479 Primogems and 1 Intertwined Fate left. For exploration, I spent most of my time in the Sumeru Desert, as well as spending a little bit of time in the rainforest. My Tree of Vanarana reached level 7, and my Sumeru statue reached level 5. I also fully completed the above ground part of the Nostoi region in Fontaine. I will be honest, I decided to take my time a little more on exploration after obtaining Azure Light, since the time sensitivity of the farming disappeared. However, multiple times during my exploration endeavors, I was unable to grab certain things from the world due to not having certain world quests completed. I was a little frustrated not being able to explore as much as I wanted, so from this week onwards, I will try to focus on world quests as a priority. I completed one of them this week, Afratu's Dilemma, and it was quite nice. Now, let's get on with resin usage. Most of it was spent in the Stygian Onslaught event, creating artifacts, until the option wasn't available anymore. I figured it was better than going for regular domains, since you get extra rewards every 120 resin spent. The other advantage of that was that the fights were quite quick for me compared to regular domains, and I was able to just autopilot it quite easily too, with every clear taking between 21 and 26 seconds. On Sunday, I spent 200 resin, 5 condensed resin, and 2 transient resin, or a total of 520 resins, on Fragment of Harmonic Whimsy artifacts. I wanted to get my Arlecchino off Gladiator 4-piece and onto Harmonic Whimsy 4-piece. Monday means weekly boss reset, and I felt like I only needed materials from the all-devouring Narwhal. I spent 30 resin there for both materials, then I spent the resin I had left on artifact. I realized that my Arlecchino team was already the strongest team I had, and that swapping to Harmonic Whimsy would require me to get all 4 pieces up front to not lose too much damage by dropping the Gladiator 4-piece set effect. Instead, I decided that I should make my second team catch up. So, I switched to farming Golden Troop to try to get my Furina some decent artifacts. Golden Troop is, of course, a lot more resin efficient too, as instead of getting unfinished Reverie pieces that I have no use for as I don't use any burning teams, I would obtain Marechaussee Hunter pieces that are also really good. That's 160 resin invested into Golden Troop on Monday. Tuesday 1st of July is the day I obtained Azure Light. I spent 120 resin and my weekly transient resin, or a total of 180 resin, on weapon ascension materials for my newly obtained weapon, raising it to level 80. Wednesday, I log back into 200 resin, spend 60 on weapon ascension materials again, the 140 remaining go towards Golden Troop artifacts. Thursday and Friday, I respectively spend another 200 and 180 on Golden Troop. Saturday is the day I realize I've only used one of my 3 half-cost weekly boss rewards. So I fight Arlecchino to at least spend the second one. I'm not certain what characters I want to build, so that could go to waste, but it's an attempt at the Dream Solvent. I unfortunately don't get any of those, but I get 2 boss materials. The 120 resin remaining for me that day goes towards, you guessed it, Golden Troop artifacts. You might notice I spend odd amounts of resin each day, and you're right, I do. I tend to play at irregular times, and sometimes my resin caps, whilst other days I spend a little resin and log back in later to spend a little more. One of my goals from next week on is to try to make sure I don't cap at any point anymore, as obviously it hinders my progression. My week of farming Golden Troop pays off. I was able to upgrade 3 of my Furnace artifacts, swapping to a better Flower and Feather, as well as getting her mediocre circlet from plus 16 to plus 20. It might be a waste of resource long term, but unupgraded artifacts just don't really sit right with me. I also spent some already acquired talent materials, either from exploration or that I farmed a while back, and raised my Skirk talents from 111 to 262, as well as my Furina talents from 166 to 199, and my Shangyun talents from 266 to 268. Lastly, I get Furina from level 80 to 90. She was already ascended, and I had the Mora and the XP books for the job, so I figured might as well. Here's a little visual recap of this week's progress. Finally, my goals for next week are the following in order of priority. 1. Make sure I complete at least 3 weekly bosses, and if possible, ones that are relevant to my talent progression. 2. Get Shanyon to level 90. I already have most of the materials, and I only need monster drops as well as elemental gemstones. 3. Keep farming golden troop, as even though my Farina is quite improved compared to the start, there is still a lot of work to be done here. And that concludes everything for today. If you like the series, be sure to subscribe to not miss the next episode. Bye!